Let's go ahead and start this over here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. All right, looks like we're up and running. Let me get my chat window open so I can see your comments. Good, good, good. All righty. Hello, India. Hello, New Zealand. What's up, everybody? Hello, Kevin, Frederick as well. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Adobe InDesign CC Live. My name is Terry White, Worldwide Design and Photography Evangelist for Adobe. It's my pleasure to be streaming to you live on this beautiful Thursday. Today, we're going to be taking a look at one feature of InDesign that is often kind of mysterious because there's certain steps that you have to do in order to make it work. I'm going to show you an example of why you would do it, and then I'll show you an example, of course, of how to do it from scratch. So welcome, welcome, welcome from all the people all over the world, and thank you for watching today's stream. So without further ado, this is going to be kind of a short one because it's really just one thing, and it's just to show you how to create this interactive rollover button in InDesign. Now, let's get that out of the way first. Why would you want to create an interactive rollover button for InDesign? There's three reasons. Reason number one, you're making an interactive epub. Your destination is going to be an epub, book, or document that you want interactivity in it. That's one reason. Second reason is probably going to be a bigger reason for most of you, and that is you're going to publish your document online using the Publish Online feature that is also built into InDesign. Third reason is that you're going to export it for Flash. Most of you are not going to be doing that anymore, but I had to put that in there because that is one of the reasons you would do it. So glad V2 Drake that I was able to save your internship with InDesign with an InDesign video. All right, so let's switch over to my computer so you guys can see what's going on. As you can see, I've got InDesign CC open in the background, and no document open. And I'm going to show you the document sample. And so let me open up the document first. I'll show you that sample, and then I'll show you how the interactivity works online. So here's the document that I'm going to open up. And this particular document has, what is this, 6 buttons that actually fly in. Now you see the button that says the journey begins, and then you see text above it. This is actually a rollover. When you're just looking at the document, all you see, or when you see it published, all you see is the journey begins and the little icon above it, the little mountain icon. You don't actually see the text until you roll over that button. So let me show it to you online. Let's go to my file menu. I'm going to go to recently published because I did recently publish this online. And if I go to recently published, it'll go straight to the URL for this. It builds this page with fading text, fading animations that come in, and then we'll see it switch to another page where we actually get to see the mountain, which is just a panorama image floating by. Now we see the 6 buttons animating in, and like I said, you don't see the text above those 6 buttons. So now the 6 buttons are just waiting for you to interact with them to actually do whatever it is you want to do. So for example, if I hover over the journey begins, it gives me a little bit of text showing me what that is. Same thing for each one of these. And this is what we're going to see how to create today. How to get that hover effect so that when a person hovers over this, they see the text, and of course then they can click on it and go right to that page and see more things animate and go in. So this was all created in InDesign without writing any lines of code, and this is just published online using the Publish Online feature. Once it publishes online, you can give that URL out to anyone that you want to be able to view this, because this is an HTML5 document now that people can navigate their way through. Okay, let's switch back to InDesign. Now that we kind of know what we want to do, let's see how to do it in a rudimentary blank document. So let's go ahead and say new document. And you can, of course, use a template. You can create a new document from scratch. You can tell it how many pages and all these other things you want. So I want just a one-page document, no facing pages, no primary text thread, one column's fine. The rest of this is okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and create it. And that gives me my one-page document. Now I'm going to show you how you build that interactive rollover. So we need two things. We need the thing that's going to be the button. So in their case, in the example, they used looks like a vector picture of a little mountain. Your button can be anything. It can be any graphic, any frame that you make inside of InDesign. So it can be anything you want. And then, of course, the thing that showed or was hidden when you rolled over it, it showed it, was simply a text frame containing the description. So that's, we need both of those things for this to work. Now, to set you up for success, the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be in the right workspace so that you have access to all the panels you're going to need without having to go look for them. So in the workspace menu, you're going to switch to digital publishing. This was originally created for people that were using our digital publishing suite, but it also works for people that are making interactivity for EPUB and publish online. So when you switch to that workspace, I've got my own custom workspace, but it's pretty much a slightly modified version. So I'll switch to the digital publishing one so we're all on the same page. And that will give you all the panels you're going to need to do this work. Okay, so now we're going to just go ahead and create our text frame. And again, this is the thing that's going to show when you roll over it. And you can put in whatever text, style it with whatever font you want, do all the stuff you want to do. And hello, Malaysia. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just fill that with placeholder text. And that will just be our sample text, so I don't have to type anything. And also, hello, Lake Superior in Brazil. All right, so next we need our thing that's going to be the button. So the thing that will actually show whether the text is showing or not. And again, that could be anything. So if you were going to use an image, you would just simply create a frame, and then you would go ahead and place your image inside of it for whatever you want your button to look like. I want to show you another way of getting a button, and that is one of those old hidden features inside of InDesign. You bring up the buttons panel. This is where we're going to be working with this in a few minutes. But if you bring up the buttons panel has this little top secret hidden thing in it. If you use the flyout menu, there's this thing called Sample Buttons and Forms. This will bring up a panel of just that, Sample Buttons and Forms. Now, these have not been updated in years. They're by no means an exhaustive list or modern buttons by any means, but for tutorials, for examples, for things you need quickly, they work great. And so I need a button quickly. Just to prove that these are not modern, remember when aqua was the big thing? Everyone wanted their buttons to be aqua. They wanted to have that liquid effect. That's what that used to look like. All right, so I just pulled over an aqua button. I can close that panel. But like I said, your button can be anything. It does not have to be one of those sample buttons. It could be whatever graphic you want to pull in. So I'm going to put this in place where I want it to be. And you'll also notice that when you pull over one of those sample buttons, it comes over as a button. I don't want this to be a button. I just really wanted to use it for the graphic. So what I'm going to do first before I do anything else is say that no, I don't want this to be a button anymore. Just convert it to a regular object. I'm doing that at the bottom of the buttons panel. So that will convert that just to, delete everything from it. Just make it a graphic. So now it's no longer a button anymore. It's just a graphic that looks like a button. And that's all I need. Okay, so now I've got the two pieces that I need to make this work. I've got the button and I've got the thing that I want to be able to show when you hover over that button. All right, and let's see. All right, Retta, great. Congratulations on your Adobe stock pursuit. All right, so let's go ahead. Now, the next step is that we need these to be grouped because we don't want to make two buttons. We want to make these two things work as a button. And I've tried it both ways. Earlier, I was experimenting with this to see was grouping really necessary or not. Like, is that just an added step or do you really need to group them? So if you were to select both of those together, and convert them into a group, it will do it, but you won't have all the options available to you that you need. So I'm going to undo that because I don't want to do it that way. First, I'm going to turn it into one object by grouping it together. Once they're grouped, now when I say convert button, I get all my options. See the difference? If I didn't group it first, I wouldn't have all these options available to me. So grouping, very important. That's a very important step. Now, it's very important that you name your button, because if you're going to create more than one, you won't remember which one's which. Just like layers, we name our layers so we kind of remember what that layer was for. So I'm just going to call this Adobe Live for the name of the button, but you would name it something that's particular to what that button's for. All right, the next thing, for the event, which is the next thing in the buttons panel, we want to change that to be on rollover, because we're going to turn this into a rollover button. So on rollover, now that that's a rollover, the next step, we could go in and tell it what the button's going to do, but we're not even worried about that yet. On the next step, we want to enable the rollover state. Right now, the only state that gets turned on by default is normal. So we just want to click to make sure rollover is enabled. All right, this will make sense to you in just a moment, because now that you've got the group created as a button, you've told it the event is a rollover. We haven't told it what the action is going to be yet. Don't worry about that right now. We've told it that it has a rollover state. Now we can choose what happens in each state. So in other words, the rollover state really should look like this. When the person rolls over the button, they should see the text. So the normal state is actually what needs to change. It needs to hide the text. So makes sense? When you're just looking at it normally, you shouldn't see the text. When the person mouses over the button, the text should show. All right, so now that we know that that's the way it should be, let's click on the normal state, and let's go to the layers panel. And in the layers panel, so far this is all on one layer. You could make a layer called buttons if you wanted to, but we got on layer one. We're going to twirl down layer one, and there's the name of our button. That's why we did that, Adobe Live. We're going to twirl that down and twirl down normal, and it will show us both things. It will even start to show you what your text says. That's what our lorem ipsum text says. And it will show the rectangle, which is the actual liquid button. All right, so we're just going to turn that layer off in the normal state. So in the rollover state, we see the text. In the normal state, we don't, just by hiding it in the layers panel. And that's the nice thing about Illustrator and InDesign layers, is that when you twirl them down, you can actually get to every single element on the layers and control them individually. You can lock them, hide them, select them, so forth and so on. So the layers panel is very object-oriented now in InDesign as it is in Illustrator. All right, so we got that pretty much built. That's it. It's ready to go. The only other thing you would do is, of course, you want your button to do something. Okay, we know what happens when people roll over it, but what happens when they actually click it? What does it do? Where does it go? That's what you put in the action area. This is what you want to happen when someone actually clicks on the button. And hello, Dare from Denmark. All right, so we're going to click on action, and these are all the available actions that are available to you. And now you notice that they're based in categories. The ones at the top, so from video on up, work across the board. So if you wanted to go to a URL, that pretty much works everywhere that an InDesign document can exist. Then you have some that are specific to the file format that you're going to export it out to. So Swift and epub, this really should say Swift, epub, and publish online can have these additional things. They can go to a particular page, go to a state, go to the next state, previous state of an object, or they could play an animation. And then the last ones are for people, the five of you out there that are still doing interactive PDFs. I'm making a joke. But interactive PDFs, back in the day when people still did those, these would be the things that you could do in an interactive PDF. So in other words, I couldn't play an animation in an interactive PDF. That's why it says only. These things only work in a PDF. These things only work in a Flash, EPUB, or Publish Online document. All right, so I'm just going to have to go to a URL. And that URL is going to be, I don't know, let's go to facebook.com/InDesign. All right, so that's what the URL is going to be that button actually goes to. So we've got our rollover state, we got our name, it's a button, our rollover, it's a rollover, it has an action that goes to a URL, we put the URL in, it's got a normal state, it's got a rollover state, and it's now ready to publish. I can test it before I publish it, which is a good idea. I can go in and hit the preview button. Most of these panels on the right-hand side in the digital publishing workspace have a preview button so you can actually see what it's going to do before you actually publish it. So when I hit preview, that brings up this rendered preview of what the button does, and I can hover over it and just clicked on it by mistake, and it went to, oh, you know what? Actually, the event, I might want to do on click. Let's do on click instead, because when I rolled over it, it actually went to the URL. Let's make that an on click action instead. Facebook.com/InDesign. All right, so now if we refresh that preview, roll up, maybe we need to generate it again. Sorry, no, get out of it, close it. All right, let's generate it again. So on click, there we go, do all that stuff, preview. All right, so now rolling over it, for whatever reason in the preview still takes us to it, but it should not if you just do an on click. All right, so the preview is still not refreshing, but the button actually does work. So now, what do I do to make other people be able to see this document? You have two choices. Well, three, but two really that you're going to use. You can if you're finished with your whole document, you can of course export this, and you can use the EPUB fixed layout format, and anyone with an EPUB 3 reader, so iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, all have EPUB 3 readers. They would be able to see your document, interact with your document, download your document if you post it online, and read your document and work with the interactivity. Or you can do my favorite option, which is Publish Online. That's this button in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't have Publish Online in your control panel, just go up to the File menu and choose Publish Online. Both do the same thing. So if I do Publish Online, it might make me save the document first, but let's go ahead and just do a Adobe Live test. And publish, let's see if it'll make me save it. Oh, it did. Okay, so cool. Let's go just do it. And once that's done, it gives me the URL for that document, a unique URL. This is hosted by Adobe, part of your Creative Cloud plan. And now I can go ahead and just view the document. And it takes me to my published document. And yes, I can hover over it without it jumping to that Facebook page. So the preview just for whatever reason wouldn't refresh. But this is my rollover state doing what it's supposed to do. Now if I were to click on it, it should take me to that InDesign Facebook page. All right, where if we go in, we can do an inception thing where there I am streaming live. All right, you get the idea. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's how this all works. You can create as many of those buttons as you want. You can use any graphics you want. You can make them rollovers or not be rollovers. You can make the action be on click, or when someone hovers over it, it does something, which is probably not the best idea depending on what you're trying to do. And away you go. So that's how this all works for people that want to publish online. How many platforms does it support? Any platform that can view HTML5. So pretty much everything. All right, yes, Inception. Matt Kloskowski's in the house. Oh my God, what are you doing here, Matt? What's going on, man? Let's see if I missed any other questions before I let you guys go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Okay, I don't see any burning questions, but if you are interested in watching and learning more, like this wasn't enough for you, you can head over and watch this. All right, so if you head over to adobelive.com, as soon as I'm done here, you can go learn from graphic designers today and tomorrow from maybe another 40 minutes today, but all day tomorrow, 9 to 5. And of course, you can go to adobelive.com and watch any of the replays. Someone's saying, can I do a whole series on InDesign? Well, if you go to my YouTube channel, I have done a whole series on InDesign at terrywhite.tv, and I stream here regularly on InDesign, usually on Thursdays. I try to keep it consistent. On Thursdays on the InDesign Facebook page, which sometimes gets simulcast to other channels as well. So with that said, and by the way, if you're not following the InDesign Facebook page, then you're missing out. So head over to facebook.com/InDesign if you're really interested in learning more about InDesign. Head there, like the page. That way you'll know when anyone streams or anyone posts any content. You'll be notified of it. So with that, everyone, take care. Thanks for watching. Someone else asked, when am I live streaming again? Probably next week, because I'm not live streaming tomorrow, so I'll start again fresh on Monday. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you, and thanks for watching.